Welcome back, everybody, to episode 18. Buckle your seatbelts because this is going to get crazy. We're talking about input output to files now instead of the screen. Last time we talked about cout and cin, and then we also talked about Java input output to the screen. Now we're going to talk about input output to files. So yeah, like I said, buckle your seatbelt. We're going to be learning a lot, and I'm going to be trying to talk fast because there's a lot to cover in this video. So let's start with what a file is. So a file is just something that can store different types of data. So here I can go into my file explorer. This is just the symbol for file explorer. I open that up. And now I'm just going to create a new file. So I think I've talked about files in this series before, but I'm just going to recap. We have different types of files denoted by the extension .something. So this type of file is a txt file. So let's go ahead and go in this. This stores text data. So text is just anything from ASCII or Unicode. So I can save this, I can close it, and this is the whole point of the file. I put stuff in there, I closed it after I saved it, and now I can turn off my computer and come back like 10 years from now, open this up, and this will still be here. That's the whole point of files, to save stuff so that we can use it later. Like I said, we have different types of files. We have like our CPP files, we have our Java files, we have object files, we have executable files. There's everything on a computer is really a file. And then we have folders, also called directories, and this is just how we organize and store those files. So yeah, that's a good introduction to files. Now let's go ahead and move on to actually a recap of our last video because I need to cover some more stuff with it. So to print to the screen using C++, we use this method of cout, and then we just print stuff and end the quote and then semicolon. To get stuff, we have to use cin, and then we need an actual variable to store this stuff in. So I mean, I don't think we actually, yeah, we do actually. So we can say string and then my string, and we can go ahead and get that as input. So my string like that. And we haven't really talked about what a string actually is. I think I briefly mentioned it, but a string is just a sequence of characters. So let me just type out something. That could be a string by itself. That could be a string, that could be a string. So anything with more than one character could be a string. Even one character could be a string, but typically we just use a character to do that, a character variable to do that, because characters are take less memory up. So anyway, that's what a string is, and we're going to be getting a string from the screen. So let's look at these methods here. So I just want to show you a quick way to think about this. So you can think about this operator here as pushing output. So we're outputting stuff with that, and then cout denotes that we're outputting stuff to the screen, and then this is the stuff that we're actually outputting to the screen. And then with the cin, you can think of this as, hey, we're getting input. Cin as being, hey, we're getting input from the screen. And where are we putting that input? Well, we're putting it in this my string. So that's how you can think about that. So let's go ahead and save that file and run it here. You can see I've been doing a lot with this. This is like my 7th take or something. Anyway, let's go ahead and link that together and then run me.exe. That's the executable. And you can see here, what did I do? Yeah, I just added this. Okay, that's probably not good. We want to prompt the user to enter a line. So enter a line, because if I just have this, it's just waiting there for your input, but you have no idea what this means. So yeah, we're going to actually quit that program by doing Control-C. That's just a quick way to kill any process in the command line. And we'll say enter line. We need to save that file and recompile. So recompile, link, and run it. So if I haven't told you, buckle your seatbelt because this is going to be a long video. We have a lot to cover, but this is really important stuff, so it's good to cover. So enter a line. I'll say here is my line, and then I actually need to print that out. So I'll say cout my line, and then just done. Save it, recompile like that. Okay, what's going on? My line was not. Yeah, that's right. I called it my string, so my bad. We'll do that. Save the file, recompile. There we go. Relink it and rerun it. There we go. Enter line. Here is my line, and then you can see it just says here. Like, why is it only saying here and not the whole thing that we typed? Well, this is because we're using cin, and with cin, it only gets up to the first space. So we input HERE space So that's where it stops, and it sets that to the variable myString. So if we want to get around this, we have to use what's called the getLine method. So we're going to say getLine, and then this method takes, this function takes 2 arguments. We've talked about arguments. So the first argument is where we're getting the input from. So we're getting it from the screen, so we use cin, and we're going to set it equal to, or we're going to save it into the myString variable. And then just close that, and now we should be able to get the whole line. So G++, we're compiling, then linking here, if I can do it. There it is. And then go ahead and run this. And here is my line, same thing, and there you go, gets the whole line. So that that basically finishes the basic input output. Now let's talk about the files, the actual meat and bones of this video. So let's keep this because we actually want to get a line, and then we're going to save it to a file. So what we're going to do is use this library called fstream, and this just stands for file stream instead of input output stream. And we're going to go ahead and open up a file. So we talked about what a file is. It's just where we save data. Now we need to actually open this file. So we have this directory called files, and there's no files in it. So when we actually use this method called ofstream, and this just stands for output file stream, we've talked about what a stream is. Stream is just where you're putting something, and we're putting it in an output file. So we need to give this a name. We're going to give it the name output file, because why not? And then there's 2 ways to actually open a certain file. So let me use an analogy real quick. When we're declaring an int, we can either just declare it and not define it, or it's called initializing with variables, but whatever. And then we can say var is equal to 2. We can do it that way, or we can just say var is equal to 2 in the same exact line, and that's just a little easier, save some room. So we're going to start with that way. So now we're going to specify exactly what file we want to open. So we're going to open a file from this files directory, and we're going to give it a name. So we're going to say files, and then the Windows way of opening a directory is 2 backslashes. So like that. And I should mention that every file that you open from a program is going to be referenced from the main.cpp file. So we're coming from this main.cpp file, going into files, and then we need to give the file a name. So we'll just say my file for the name, and then as I said, every file has an extension. So we're just going to create it as a txt file, and there you go. Now if I go ahead and run this, let's see if it'll actually run, because I need to close it at some point. So we'll compile, and then we'll go ahead and link and run, and here is my line, and let's see if it actually created the file. So yeah, there's my file. Notice how nothing's in it, because instead of printing my line to the screen, we actually didn't print it anywhere, but we just saved it into myString. Anyway, now we want to actually print myString to that file. So how we do this is instead of saying cout my line, we're going to say cout is a stream to the screen, so output file is a stream to the file. So output file, and then we're going to just use that same operator. So we're outputting to that file, and notice how this is basically a variable that holds this file. So we're outputting to that file my line, and that's it. Now if we save that and recompile, we're going to we're going to need to do this thing called closing the file. And closing the file is basically similar to saving a file. So if I go in here in this file and type something, I have to either go up here to file and then save, or I can just do Control S for save. And that saves the file, so when I reopen it, it has stuff. But if I went to add more stuff and I didn't save it, it'll prompt me, and I say don't save. I open it back up and it's not there. What the heck? Because I didn't save it. Anyway, we have to basically save this file once we've done stuff to it. So this is just closing the stream. So output file dot close. That's how we do that. Now if we save that and recompile here, it should compile. Oh boy, my line was not declared in this scope. Oh yeah, that's right. Dang it. MyString. I almost did it again right there. So MyString, it's called, and now we can go ahead and compile. There we go. And now we'll go ahead and link it and run it and give it a line. Here is my line. And there you go. Now we can open this file and it'll be there. Here's my line, boom. So if I go ahead and replace this stuff with random stuff and save it, and then I'm going to run this again just to show you that once I output stuff to a file, it overwrites everything in there. So right now we have this stuff in there, and if I run this program to say here is my line, and it goes into this file and changes everything. So there's a way to get around this, but we're not going to talk about that right now. It's basically appending to the file. Anyways, we're going to talk about how to actually get that line, get the input from the file. So we have this in the file. Now how do we get it out of the file? So we have to create an input stream. So we'll say if stream, that just stands for input file stream. Same thing, give it a name. So input file. Same thing, we have to specify where we're opening this file from. So we're going to copy this and we're going to paste it in there. Close that in there. I want to show you the other way. I talk about the variable analogy, but I just want to show you. We can just declare that input file input stream, and then we can say input file dot open, and then paste that in there. It's the same exact thing, but I like doing it this way because it's shorter and saves space. So now what we can do is actually read data using that getLine method. So what we're going to do is say getLine. And then we're passing in where we're getting it from. So this is going to come from the input file stream, and then we're going to put it into my string, and we're going to see out my string. Actually, yeah, we're going to see out my string. Okay, like that. And let's go ahead and save this and run it. So need to recompile, relink. That's the same thing. Dang it. Relink. And rerun. There you go. We'll enter a line. We'll just put in some random stuff like that, and now that gets saved to the file, and it happens so fast I can't even keep up. So it gets saved to the file, and then what we do is we get the input from that file and print it back out to the screen. So there it is. So yeah, we'll learn how to do this in Java in the next video. This video is just getting way too long. Anyway, catch you then.